Good evening. I'm Jeremy, and tonight I'm going to talk about guitars. One guitar in particular. A long time ago, well, in the context of my life, 20-ish, somewhere between 20 and 25 years ago, I was at a music festival, and another gentleman, many people were at this music festival, obviously, wouldn't have been much of a festival if there weren't, but a particular gentleman was there, and his name was Derek Lind, and I've mentioned, if you've watched previous videos that I've done, you might have heard me mention his name. I try to mention him regularly when I'm talking to people about music or when I'm playing, because I think that he's a New Zealand songwriter, guitarist, painter, artist in general. One of probably my primary songwriting heroes. I would almost go so far as to call myself a disciple. Not in the sense that Derek has, through his songwriting and his guitar playing, and just through being himself, and to the extent that I've had the opportunity to get to know him a little bit over the years, he's been almost, like a mentor, not intentionally on his part, I'm sure, but yeah. Anyway, he was at this festival, and this was at a point where I was just sort of starting to, I think, really appreciate the way that he wrote songs, the way he played, and the way he wrote lyrics, and just the way that he approached music in general, and being an artist, being a creative person. And there's a whole lot of detail that I could try to remember, and what's really, that is not important. What is important is that at this festival, for some reason, at one point, he let me play his guitar. Derek's guitar, this particular guitar, and he has many these days. I don't know how many he had then, but he's got a lot these days. We've got literally a room full of them. But this particular guitar was a Gibson J200. The J200, or sometimes just called called the SJ200. They're completely interchangeable. It's just the name has kind of come and gone over the decades. It's literally the same guitar. It's sometimes called the king of the flat tops. Flat top referring to the top of the guitar, so it's flat, it's not arched. And he had one, which I believe he still does. I don't know what tier of model it was. It could have been a standard, it could have been a custom. Either way, the important thing is he let me play it. Now, it could have been any guitar, and I would have been chuffed that Derek Lind was letting me play his guitar. But, as I say, it was a Gibson J200. And the second I think I played an E chord. For some reason that sticks in my head. I have this idea that it was an E, which would be unusual for me because I'm not a big fan of E, more of an E minor kind of guy. But I played this, an open chord, and that was probably why. That's why I think it was probably an E, because I would be playing all of the strings and really, letting them ring. And I remember playing that chord and just going, oh, right. So this is what a real guitar sounds like. And I don't know how long I got to play it for, maybe 5 minutes or something, but it only took that one strum and just letting those strings ring. That was all it took, and I just remember, I don't want to say overwhelmed, that would sound a little dramatic, but it really hit me, like just the sound of it was so perfect. It was so full and deep, but beautifully rounded and clear. It was deep, but it wasn't bass heavy. It was just this wonderful, even, perfect sound. Excuse me. Yeah, and that always stayed with me. You know, and I have friends who love Martin guitars, you know, acoustic guitars specifically. Martin guitars, you know, who love Taylor acoustic guitars. You know, and obviously there's many others, Matins. And whenever I've played them, I've always thought, I would always find myself thinking, this is clearly, objectively, a lovely guitar. Like, I get it, but nah. And I would feel kind of bad about that, because I would know, like, oh gosh, Martin made great acoustic guitars, like, they're amazing. And I know that Taylor made great acoustic guitars, and Maiden made great acoustic guitars, and there's plenty of others, but it just didn't resonate with me. I don't know, you know. And over the years, you know, like, and I would listen to Derek's records, and and I knew from, you know, conversations or email correspondence I had with him that, you know, that guitar had been used on particular songs, which is to say, I knew what some of the songs were. You know, when he recorded them, and I would listen to those songs, and go, yeah, that makes sense, man. It's a killer sound, just so perfect. And always in the back of my head, I hoped that one day, maybe, I might have one. I might get my own Gibson J200. It seemed like a very far off dream, far off to the point that it just wasn't even in my frame of mind as a possibility. But about 9 months ago, I guess, maybe 8 months ago, I was in the rock shop here in Dunedin, gone in there with my wife to buy some guitar stands, because we were having a little gig in our living room, and some other friends were playing, and I'd suddenly, on the Saturday morning, I realized, oh gosh, I need to get some guitar stands. I mean, up until that point, all my guitars were kept in like a big multi-guitar stand that I made a while back. But that was going to be completely unsuitable for the gig. I thought, I mean, my friend's going to need one. I'm going to need a couple. I'll go, they're not that expensive. I'll go down and I'll get some. And so we went in, and the guitar stands were kept in what was then the acoustic room that has in recent weeks become the keyboard room, but that's okay. And so we went in there, and my wife for many years worked at a music store, not the rock shop, a competitor. So she knows guitars, she knows instruments. And hanging on a stand by the wall, not actually hanging on the wall, but on a stand by the wall, was this guitar. And she saw it and went, oh, I would like to hear that. So I thought, well, how much harm can it do to pick, to just try out a guitar? And I'd seen the guitar, I'd seen it there before, but I hadn't paid any attention to it at all, as I say, because it wasn't in my frame of mind. But so we went and asked, would it be okay if I had a play of it? And they said yes, and so I picked it up, and well, clearly I liked it because I've got it here. But as soon as I put my hand on the back of the neck, I just thought, oh my gosh, this was a terrible idea. Because this is my dream guitar. Yeah, and I could sit here and salivate over it and say all sorts of superlative things about it. This is a Gibson J200. It's called a studio, which is the sort of the lowest rank. So there's the studio, the standard, the custom, and then I suppose above that you have like the signature models, Johnny Cash signature model, that kind of thing. If I have understood the Gibson website correctly, they're all exactly the same. They are literally the same guitar. But the higher up you go, the more money you spend, the more blingy they get. So, they got abalone and more inlays. There's more bling. Slightly fancier, more expensive versions of some of the hardware. Which is fine with me because I don't really like any of that stuff. Anyway, we played it and it sounded amazing. And a friend of mine was in there. It happened to come in at the same time. And he told my wife it sounded amazing, precisely so that, in the hope that I would buy it. But we hadn't come in to buy a guitar. We'd come in to buy some guitar stands. We bought the guitar stands, went back home. And we had a big chat about it. And I suppose I don't want to get too personal and all soppy about it, but suffice to say, the decision to buy this was an extremely big deal for me. Probably a bigger deal than it needed to be. And it wasn't about the money. Well, not really. But, but it was a huge thing. It was like, this is my dream guitar. Is it okay for me to buy this? Which I'm sure for most people, if anybody watches this, they're going to think, oh, that's just dumb. What a stupid way to think. But that's kind of how my brain works. It was like, do I deserve, have I earned the right to own this guitar? This is a real guitar. Now, obviously there'll be people out there going, yeah, Gibsons suck. Fine, whatever, buy me. I took this after buying it. I took it to my luthier. And when he brought it back, he just made some little tweaks. He said, this is the nicest J200 I've ever played. This thing just sings. It was worth the money I paid him just to hear him say that. And this, as I say, this is a J200 Studio. It's the back and the sides are made of walnut, and the top is made of Sitka spruce, which is, as I think I understand it, a pretty common word for the tops of nice guitars. It it resonates very nicely, and I love playing this guitar. Every single time I pick it up, it's perfect to me. It's sonically perfect, visually it's perfect. I love the fact that it's beautiful, but it's not. Whenever I look at it, I think this is not a guitar that says, look at me, look at all the fancy stuff I have on me. And I like that because I think I would find it weird playing a guitar that had heaps of bling. Johnny Marr, the guitarist for the Smiths, a long time ago, and he's just Johnny Marr who plays for himself. He talks about how some guitars come preloaded with songs. And there's a video that I've posted previously for a song called What Waits Beyond. And that was the first song I wrote on this guitar. I don't know how that sounds to you or if you like it, I don't care. Whenever I play that, I just go, oh my gosh. It came so easily. And I've written a bunch of songs on it since. I suppose the point I'm trying to make is, there's a song by the Mutton Birds, wonderful New Zealand band that doesn't exist anymore. Specifically written by a gentleman called Don McGlashan. It's called A Thing Well Made. And there's a wonderful line in it where this guy who has in the song, the protagonist of the song owns an outdoor sporting store, like a hunting and fishing sort of shop. And in the song, he's showing a rifle to prospective customer and he says, look at the way that gun fits the crook of your arm. To make a thing like that, you'd need to know what you were about. You'd need to know where you were going and go there in a straight line. Everything else you'd have to block right out. Can you see the man who made that? Can you see him putting it down and standing back? Can you see the moment when he said, that's it, that's perfect? At a time like that, you wouldn't care about your job or your mortgage or the fight you had with your wife. When a man holds a thing well made, there's connection, there's completion when a man holds a thing well made. And that, yeah, I often think of that song when I pick up this guitar because to me, this is a thing well made. And of course I know that this isn't actually true, literally. But often when I'm playing this guitar, I kind of feel like, I imagine that one day a man went into work. Well, I'm assuming it was a man. It may not have been. Yeah, a luthier at the factory in the Gibson factory in Bozeman, Montana, came into work, and there was a note on his desk, and it said, "There's a jackass down in Dunedin, and he would have thought, where's Dunedin? The bottom of the world. His name's Jeremy, and today you're going to make his guitar." And I suppose the point of this video was I just wanted to share that, because I'm conscious I've played it a couple of times and I've talked about my other guitars at some point in the past. I've never said anything about this one. I suppose I was a little bit self-conscious about it because it's a Gibson J200, They're not the kind of thing that most people buy most days. But I love this guitar. This is my guitar. There are many like it. Well, actually, maybe there aren't. But this one is definitely mine. And in July and August, I will be taking it out on the road, along with a couple of its companions. I'm doing a tour around Southland, Otago, and South Canterbury. Or I say around 7 dates spread across 3 provinces. So, but this will be getting a lot of playing, and it sounds wonderful. I love playing it, and I am looking forward to sharing it with whoever decides to come along to the shows. Yeah, sorry, I haven't really played it much, have I? I've mostly just talked about it. It's pretty good. Well, on that note, have a good night, and yeah, hopefully some of you will see me, or I will see you in the next couple of months. If you live in Dunedin, Invercargill, Bannockburn / Cromwell, Timaru, Oamaru, or Geraldine, all this, surrounding peripheries. Have a good night.